Everyone is talking about oil. Everyone is talking about missiles. Everyone is talking about nukes. But nobody is talking about water. And water is what ends this. Let me give you a number. Dubai, 17,000% water stress. You know what that means? It means Dubai uses 17,000% more water than nature provides. 17,000% without desalination plants, Dubai does not exist. It is a glass city in the desert, surviving on machines that turn seawater into drinking water. And Iran knows this. They have known this for 20 years. So the real question is not whether America can bomb Tehran. The real question is, what happens when Iran turns off the water? Let me explain how this works. You need to understand the system first. The entire Gulf region, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, they all depend on desalination. Not partially, almost entirely. The natural fresh water in these countries is close to zero. Saudi Arabia has some aquifers, but they are draining fast. The rest, machines, giant facilities on the coast that suck in seawater, remove the salt, and pump out drinking water. Without those plants, these countries go dry in days. Not weeks, days. Now here's where it gets interesting. These desalination plants are massive. They are stationary. They are right on the coastline. You cannot hide them. You cannot move them. They are the most obvious targets in the history of warfare. Okay? And how does Iran attack them? With drones. Shahed drones that cost $50,000 each. Iran produces around 500 of these per day. They have stockpiles estimated at 80,000 units. Each one flies low, slow enough to dodge some radar, and carries enough explosive to cripple a desalination facility. And how do you defend against that? With THAAD missiles that cost $1 million each. And they frequently miss, so you fire 2 or 3 per drone. Do the math. $50,000 drone versus $2 to $3 million in defense. And Iran can send hundreds in a single wave. This is not sustainable. This is not even close to sustainable. This is pure asymmetric warfare. The two sides are playing completely different games. But here is the part that nobody talks about. Iran has not hit the desalination plants yet. Why? Because they see it as their nuclear option. Not literally nuclear, but strategically equivalent. If you destroy the water supply of the GCC, you do not just create a crisis. You create a civilizational collapse. And Iran knows that once they cross that line, there is no going back. So they are holding it, calibrating, waiting. This is the law of escalation in action. Control is more important than dominance. The player with the most options wins, not the player with the most force. Okay, now let me layer something else on top of this. Food. The GCC countries import 80 to 90% of their food. 80 to 90%. These are some of the richest nations on earth, and they cannot feed themselves. When the Strait of Hormuz gets disrupted, and it has been disrupted since this war started, the food supply chains break. Dubai runs out of food in roughly a week without resupply. A week. Now combine that with no water. No desalination means no water. Disrupted shipping means no food. What do you get? You get millions of people who need to leave immediately. And where do they go? This is the refugee crisis. Nobody is modeling. We are not talking about poor countries here. We're talking about Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, countries full of foreign workers, expats, laborers, professionals. Dubai alone has a population that is nearly 90% foreign nationals. These people have no citizenship, no safety net, no reason to stay when the taps run dry and the grocery stores are empty. You would see an exodus, unlike anything the modern world has seen. Millions of people trying to fly out, sail out, drive out. And we already saw a preview of this when Iran launched the first wave of attacks. Wealthy residents were paying $250,000 for private jets out, $250,000 for a seat on a plane. That is what panic looks like when rich people feel it. Now imagine what happens when it is not just the rich, when it is everyone. Into where Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Europe, the logistics of this are staggering. And Europe is already dealing with migration crises. You add millions of Gulf refugees, and the political system cracks. Now let me talk about Bahrain, because Bahrain is the domino that falls first. And why does this matter? Because Bahrain is over 50% Shia Muslim, governed by a Sunni monarchy. The Fifth Fleet, America's naval headquarters in the Gulf, sits right there. Iran does not need to invade Bahrain. Iran just needs to inspire an internal uprising. The Shia population has been suppressed for decades. They have grievances, they have connections to Iran, and now their leader has been martyred, the Ayatollah killed in the decapitation strike. In Shia theology, martyrdom is not defeat. It is fuel. It is the most powerful motivator in their entire religious framework. The death of Khamenei did not weaken Iran. It weaponized an entire population. So Iran looks at Bahrain and sees an opportunity. Foment internal revolution. Shia majority rises up. Sunni monarchy falls. American naval base is suddenly in hostile territory. And this is not fantasy, this is game theory. This is what rational actors do when they have the tools. Makes sense? Okay? So let us zoom out, because this is where it gets really serious. And I mean really serious. If Iran hits the desalination plants, oil does not just go to $150. It goes to $200, maybe higher. Why? Because the attack on water infrastructure signals something to the market that missile exchanges do not. It signals total war. It signals that Iran is willing to destroy the habitability of the Gulf region. And if the Gulf becomes uninhabitable, the oil infrastructure goes with it. Not just Iranian oil, Saudi oil, Emirati oil, Kuwaiti oil, Qatari gas, all of it becomes unreliable. And global energy markets do not price risk linearly. They panic. $200 oil means global recession. It means Europe, which already lost cheap Russian gas, now loses Gulf energy too. It means China's manufacturing engine stalls. It means inflation spikes everywhere. Supply chains that were already fragile from the pandemic just shatter. And this is exactly where Russia and China enter the picture. You need to understand the incentives. Russia wants America stuck in the Middle East. Every dollar spent in the Gulf is a dollar not spent in Ukraine. Every aircraft carrier in the Persian Gulf is an aircraft carrier not in the Pacific. Russia's play is simple. Provide Iran with a nuclear umbrella, not weapons. A guarantee. If the Americans use nuclear weapons against Iran, Russia responds. That single guarantee changes the entire game. It takes the biggest American card off the table. Senator Blumenthal already confirmed after a classified briefing that Russia is helping Iran. This is not speculation. This is happening. And China? China needs Iranian oil, period. If America controls Iran and Iraq, America controls China's energy supply. That is an existential threat to Beijing, not a strategic inconvenience, an existential threat. The Chinese economy cannot function without Middle Eastern oil. China imports over 70% of its oil, and a huge chunk comes from the Gulf. And a Chinese economy that stops functioning is the one thing the Communist Party cannot survive. Legitimacy in China is not based on elections, it is based on economic growth. The deal is simple. The party delivers prosperity. The people accept the system. No prosperity, no deal. So China is forced into this. Not by ideology, not by friendship, by math. Pure math. You will see China quietly increasing purchases of Iranian oil through back channels, using yuan instead of dollars, building alternative payment systems. This is not hypothetical. This has been happening for years. The war just accelerates. Think about it like this. Remember the bully analogy from the law of escalation. The empire is the bully. For decades, the bully walks through the schoolyard and everyone moves. Nobody challenges him. Not because he wins every fight, but because everyone believes he would win every fight. The aura of invincibility. That is what empire actually is. It is not aircraft carriers and military bases. It is the belief that those things make you untouchable. But what happens when someone does not move? What happens when the new kid just stands there? The bully has to act. He has to swing. And when he swings and the new kid does not go down, everyone sees it. Everyone in the schoolyard recalculates. Wait, the bully is not invincible. And then the alliances form. Not for the bully, against him. That is what is happening right now. Iran did not fold after the decapitation strike. They launched attacks on Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait. The aura cracked, and every country watching, every country that was quietly resentful of American hegemony, they're all recalculating. If Iran can survive this, what does that mean for us? What options do we have now? The water weapon is the final escalation before the point of no return. If Iran destroys desalination capacity across the GCC, you get simultaneous crises, humanitarian disaster, refugee waves, oil at $200. Global recession, Bahrain falls internally. The Fifth Fleet loses its base. Russia provides nuclear cover. China secures alternative energy routes. And the American empire, the empire that runs on the petrodollar, that runs on the belief that the Gulf is safe, that energy flows are guaranteed, that empire faces a crisis it was never designed to handle. Because the American military was built for the Cold War. It was built to flex, to project power, to intimidate. It was not built to fight a decentralized enemy using $50,000 drones against trillion-dollar infrastructure in a desert where even the water is artificial. I could be wrong. This is analysis based on game theory and incentives, not prophecy. But the logic chains are clear. If this theory is right, then certain things should happen. Iran should hold the desalination option in reserve as leverage. Russia should deepen involvement quietly. China should increase oil purchases from Iran through back channels. Iran should see internal unrest. Oil should keep climbing. And America should struggle to articulate why it is there. Because even now, there is no clear purpose. First, it was uranium enrichment, but Iran had already agreed to zero enrichment before the strike. Then it was regime change. Then it was something else. The question that keeps me up is this. What happens when an empire built on an aura of invincibility loses that aura? Not militarily, psychologically. Because empire is a collective hallucination. And hallucinations end the moment enough people stop believing. The water crisis in the Gulf might be the moment the world stops believing.